In this episode of Mwah TV, it is time for more common branding mistakes. When you work without a branding identity system, you're going to come a cropper in several different ways. Today, I want to run a quick sense check with you just to double check and see what you've got in place. And together, we can find out what the issues are, if you've got any, and then make a plan about how you're going to overcome them. Let's go. If you've always wondered if your current brand identity system is up to scratch, maybe you've always wondered what the hell even is it, then fear not. By the end of this episode, I'm going to have that all figured out. You're going to have a really good handle on which bits you're potentially missing, and you're going to know the best way to go about adding and building to make your business building efforts much more streamlined and a hell of a lot more effective. Working without a brand identity system is indeed a common problem, but why might that be? Perhaps till now you never even knew what a brand identity system was. You thought you could keep doing like a scrappy DIY effort, even though you're not at all skilled in graphic design or anything, any of the creative principles that go behind a brand. Or maybe you've just never given it any credence. Maybe you've never thought it was that important, and rather you would focus on making something technically better that you're selling, or you'd put more effort in advertising or focusing just on sales. Those are usually the reasons behind why people deprioritize this. When I say things like precision with color, precision with space, precision with typography or fonts, and having very regimented layout rules feels like a little bit too much creativity overkill, then you're probably in this problem with not having a well thought out and documented brand identity system. Most businesses that I come across and have worked with have been issued with a single, it's usually an A4 size branding sheet, sometimes known as a brand style sheet, but it's absolutely not a brand guidelines document. It's a single sheet that gives a high level synopsis of key parts of a brand, and that's issued usually complimentary. Sometimes you have to pay a bit extra for it, but it's like industry practice now that you will have been given a brand style sheet if you've professionally created a logo. And you might be thinking that this is all you needed to tick the box saying, yeah, brand is done. You could be in another camp here. You might be stuck in a mindset cycle of scarcity or scarcity mindset when it comes to your money and spending. Maybe you've decided that all the branding, creative stuff is just far too expensive and you can't think about it right now. You hate spending money on anything that you think is a waste, so you're just not going to spend any money. But the problem might be that you're not naturally or an experienced creative entrepreneur. You might be really, really good at the thing that you're trying to sell, and you've never known about this stuff. Like, you've been working all these years to become an expert in your field, and because you don't know much about it, you've decided, no, that's not important. The other offshoot that connects strongly to the scarcity mindset is where people try and do everything on their own in a full DIY approach. And all I'll say about that is when you don't know what you don't know what a brand identity system is, and you don't know why you need one, do you? Be honest with me right now and tell me in the comments, where are you actually at when it comes to having a documented brand or a brand identity system in place? Have you heard of this before? Have you skipped past this? Be honest. So what's going to happen when you ignore having a brand identity system? If you're just eyeballing everything when it comes to anything remotely design related, you're going to be creating inconsistencies in the way that your brand appears. Lots of little inconsistencies really jar the eye when you read an image or you read a block of text or a series of copy, and there's little inconsistencies. It really affects your ability to absorb the information. That can cause confusion, and over time that can then lead up to mistrust about a brand. When you gently encourage the eyes to go over any type of content, visual, what we just said before, copy, set of copy with images, whatever it might be, when you do that in an intentional way, you dramatically increase interpretation, understanding, And then the pinnacle of that is you create an emotional reaction. And as a brand owner and a business owner, you want to feel in charge and in control of that emotional reaction. It's imperative that any new lead or prospect looking at your business understands and correctly interprets everything you're about as a brand. And then most importantly, they need to fully understand how you want them to buy from you. It might be that your lack of consistency with this design, creative, visual stuff is actually a reflection of your lack of focus and clarity and consistency that you have with your entire business. This is something really common that I say all the time. Maybe you've lost focus in how you deliver an exceptional product or service. Or maybe you just feel really unclear and unsure about what's next for your business. You've got no idea how you want to get to where you want to get to. The other obvious thing here is not looking professional is going to affect your reputation over time. If this episode is hitting the spot for you today, don't forget to subscribe. So let's get into how you start overcoming this then. If you've done all of the work to document the strategic part of your branding, then my advice for you today on tackling this problem is to find the right graphic designer for you, give them absolutely everything you've got, all of your branding documentation, as well as any extra information that they ask for, and just fully delegate it out and get them to do this for you. The work that they create is then going to form its own section in your branding documentation, or your brand guidelines, or your brand Bible, or sometimes it's known as your brand book. If you're in a position where what you've got right now is lots of ideas and plans and you haven't got any strategic branding stuff documented, then my advice is different. Maybe you're a spreadsheet person and everything that you've got, all of your plans and what you want to do and when you want to do it and how much it's going to cost, is all laid out in a spreadsheet. And right now that spreadsheet is the entire Rosetta Stone of your whole business. If that's you, that's a really good sign that actually worrying about hiring a graphic designer to create a brand identity system for you is probably not the best idea yet. Instead, what I want you to do is think about working on the brand strategy of your entire business and getting that laid out into a solid documentation, ready to then hire the graphic design person to come in and do the identity system side of it for you. When you go ahead and you jump the gun and you hire any creative supplier without a proper brand strategy documented, do not be surprised if what they create for you is a little bit off, or they go off on a creative tangent, or what they do doesn't click well with work that another creative supplier has done. It's because you haven't debriefed them in a consistent way. In the business, that particular activity is known as brand erosion. You don't want to do that. It's a massive waste of time, effort, and money. If you're thinking of someone who you're a biz pal with who's actually got this problem going on in their business right now, maybe they've wasted loads of money and they're really cheesed off with their brand, they don't know why nothing links together, I want you to forward them a copy of this. You can just click on the share button and then copy the link and send it to them in a DM with your recommendation to take a look. What are the benefits of having that brand identity system then? Let's take a look at that. So when you're fully rocking with a really good brand identity system, you're going to be able to start expecting overall speed and efficiency in your business. And that's usually going to have a direct correlation to faster growth. You're going to have a united team of suppliers or staff who feel like they're all working to a shared goal with the exact same tools and assets available to them. You're going to increase your recognizability from stakeholders. You're going to have a laser focus on what you need to be concentrating on, like those growth plans we've covered today. You're going to have a renewed vigor and enthusiasm for your business. We're going to fall back in love with what it is that you set out to do in the first place. And you're going to have an improved reputation as a better understood and more of a serious professional player in your marketplace. If you've enjoyed learning about working with a brand identity system in your business, then I'm willing to bet you're going to enjoy these episodes up next. I'll see you next time. Mwah! Now, before you go anywhere, don't forget to subscribe. Mwah!